Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the West Coast Sports Junkies podcast. This is week 27. We've been recording for 27 weeks. Been having a blast. We got a lot of fun things to talk about. Preseason wrapping up for anyone who's into fantasy football. I'm pretty sure you're probably pulling your hair out already with all of the news that's happening. The cuts, today was cut day. We're going to get into that. Cantlay, what a playoff in the BMW Championship this weekend. Very exciting against DeChambeau. We're going to get into that. And a little bit of MMA mixed into boxing. Jake Paul fought Woodley this weekend. You know, the Paul brothers have been calling out Dana White and the MMA fighters. Kind of, mixed discussions and mixed opinions on this fight, but we'll also get into that. And of course, we have the Dirty Talk with Dan Nandez to end the show. Mike, how have you been, buddy? I know you've been out in the woods, out in the lake. You've been shooting guns. You've been catching fish. How's your last couple of weeks of the summer been?
It's been awesome, man. Thank you so much for taking over for Govik this week and doing our intro. This week I got Stella Artois again joining us as that was delicious beer we had last week with my buddy Ty. But yeah, I know I've been good. We've done a lot of camping. We've done a little bit of fishing in the Vedder River. That's new to me, so I'm just getting into that sort of river fishing. Having a lot of fun with it. It's kind of relaxing in the early mornings and stuff. And other than that, we're just sort of winding down the summer and getting ready for fall. And I got I've been super busy with work. Got a big trip planned for next week, heading out to the Kootenays. Hopefully, these fires seem to be sort of getting under control a little bit. COVID numbers seem to start coming down. And what about you, Ty? What's going on?
Not much, man. Good to be back with you for another week. Glad we have a little more company this week. So thanks, Dan, for showing up. Just kidding. But Chris isn't here again, but that's all good. I'm happy to drink some more Stella Artois with you boys tonight. As for me, just been golfing, hanging on to the last few weeks of summer. Not ready for the fall at all. Just playing some golf. It's fantasy football season. Like Dan said, it's right around the corner. We have our draft this week. So, I've been doing those mock drafts, doing a little scouting, watching some preseason football. And it's a good time of year for sports. It seems like I say that all the time, but the little rundown there that Dan gave sets us up for a good episode tonight.
So, Mike, how do you even I know you're quite the fisherman and you're normally on a boat, put the rod in, crack a beer, wait for the downrigger to snap. And now you're doing this, calm fly fishing where you got to stand up the whole time, a little, reel it in a little nice, cast it back out, watch the line float. Like, you're not catching any whales in those little ponds that you're in.
There's big fish in there, man. The salmon go up those streams to spawn. That's what we're going for.
Well, I still haven't seen a photo of that. So
I've only caught one little trout so far. I have not been too successful yet, but it opened up today, actually, the 1st of September. And so it opened up today. So you guys will start, you can keep them now. So, well, you'll see some photos. Don't worry.
Okay. Well, the weather is not, I'm not really liking this end of summer weather. It seems like we're already in October weather with the, rain and a little bit of cloud, a little bit of sun. But yeah, Ty, I know I missed out last week. It's been very, very busy for me as well at work. I don't say that very much, but yes, it has been very busy right now. But we got a couple of rounds in a golf. Let's jump right into the preseason. I know you guys are finally excited. You finally got to see your starting lineup for the Seahawks. The main guns came out this past weekend. Mike, I know you're happy with what you saw. You got your eyes set on some first round picks in our fantasy. What do you think of the game?
Absolutely, buddy. And like I said earlier, I'm just happy to be a Seahawks fan again after we came on and we won 27-0. And right off the bat, the defense kicked it off with call it a pick six. And we were on our feet watching that game pretty much the entire time. Not all the starters obviously played. We didn't see Russell Wilson and a couple other guys, but I like what I see. I think the team's going to be the team to beat this year. And I do feel our weakest point is our depth. That's what I said last week too. Like just if one player goes down, we might be in trouble.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I would have liked to actually see Russell get in there for a series or two, not even a quarter, just get some of that game speed. You can't simulate that at practice, even in a preseason game. You know, you get that energy going, you get the flow of the game. You have defenders that are trying to make the team, trying to take your head off, which is why I only wanted him to see him in there for a series because we don't want him to get hurt, right? But, you know, it was very good to see the team finish off the preseason with a win. I know it's just preseason, but, you know, it keeps your confidence high, gets you ready for the regular season. I was happy to see Dwayne Eskridge actually get a catch in that game. That was his first action. He was obviously our highest draft pick this year, and he hadn't been able to do much because he was injured. But no, I liked what I saw. It's definitely getting me fired up for the start of the regular season. It can't come soon enough.
Let me ask you guys a
ahead.
question here. I know, you know, this is the year where the NFL's finally come to agreement with players. We're going to extend to 17 weeks, shorted the preseason. We just finished a COVID year where there wasn't any preseason at all. And already, you know, like I said, fantasies around the corner. People are starting to do drafts. Today was the final cut of the season. And we've had some already big names, as always, get injured, done for the season in preseason. J.K. Dobbins tore his ACL on the weekend. I mean, it was going to be the starter, shoe in for the running back for the Ravens. A couple of other, even the rookies, you know, Trey Lance, I think, hurt his finger. Justin Fields, did you see that hit? Got rocked.
Yeah,
probably into week 4, he got rocked so hard. So what do you guys think? You're complaining, Mike, that you didn't see Russ cook, but do you really want your franchise quarterback playing a meaningless, pointless preseason and a freak accident, and he's done for the season? How would you feel about that?
No, obviously that's the risk you take. Obviously, any game in the NFL, but I do think you need to get some game time preparation in. And, you know, even like years leading up to this year, I know this year's a little bit different with only the 3 preseason games and the longer season. That must have something to do with it, because usually you'll see, even in week 1 of preseason, them come out for a series, maybe week 2, they'll come out for a series. Week 3, they'll usually play a quarter, and usually week 4, they're playing a half. And then you get into, you know, to week 1 of the season and you're playing a full game, right? You can't even take a snap.
Yeah, like Dan, relating to you, Tom Brady played half a quarter.
Yeah,
this past weekend. It's good to get that, like I said, the game action in. You can't simulate it in practice. In terms of the J.K. Dobbins injury, sure, that sucks, but I mean, quarterbacks have red no contact jerseys at practice, obviously, so they're not getting hit. But running backs and receivers, defenders, like they have full pad practice as well. So, I mean, that injury for Dobbins is a freak accident, but it's the nature of the game. That's the game they play. You can get injured like that at any time. The only thing I will say about that in terms of fantasy is that's why you don't draft until after the preseason, because of injuries. But it is a fine line with the quarterbacks, because you don't want to lose, obviously, Russell Wilson or Tom Brady for the season in a meaningless preseason game, but it's the nature of the game. I would have liked to see a series or two. I mean, Russ isn't going to be running around there diving for first downs, right?
Yeah, and I think also, at least for the quarterback position, it's a lot easier to protect yourself in a preseason game. You know, take the sack, drop, you know, throw it out of bounds. But when you're like a running back receiver, like you're running routes, you're getting hit.
Yeah,
like that freak accident, like you said, with J.K. Dobbins, like he got tackled. Did you see his knee? Like hyperextended backwards,
just the way it was planted and the way he got hit. Right?
It's a freak
unlucky
accident. But I mean, I think for the most part, those types of positions, like you're going out there, I mean, it's a coin flip what could happen.
Yeah,
just like in practice, they're playing with pads, they're playing full contact. So,
but now you're going into week 1 completely cold, right? You're more apt to get injured then. I would argue.
Well, they're not completely cold. They've been training for the last 3 months.
Yeah, but you haven't had, but game time, like that pressure. And I would disagree with you too. Even though it's preseason, those guys are fighting for their jobs. They're fighting for their lives. Basically, they want to make the roster. They're coming at you hard.
Yeah, so you're telling me, well, that Russell Wilson, he doesn't need to make the 53-man roster. He does, I agree, need to get a couple of snaps here and there. But I mean, again, they're training every day, 7 days a week for the last 3 months. Yeah, they don't have the game speed that can only be matched by playing another team, but still that connection, those passes, those routes, calling the plays, they're doing that every single day.
The thing I would say that I didn't like is that there's new guys coming into the lineup, right? That those
play the new
receivers
guys.
We got. So what's that?
Play the new guys, play the rookies, play the first round draft.
Yeah, but you would want to have Russell Wilson. You want to have your team out there that's going to be going forward, at least for like one series, one push.
Yeah.
See how they react. That's what I wanted to see. And I was kind of disappointed that we didn't get to see it.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll really we'll see that in week 1, I think, if there is any rust there in terms of timing and all that. Like timing and everything they practice, but like you said, Mike, you don't have that defender coming for your head, trying to knock your head off and get a sack at practice.
It's completely different.
So, but on the topic
how about
of
the biggest,
you can put all the prep in, but you have to execute.
Oh. You
have to execute.
Oh boy. Well, you want to talk about executing. Do you see what Bill Belichick executed Cam Newton? That's what he did. poor Superman Cam.
He almost called him Bam Bam.
I nearly called him Bam Bam again.
Good thing you caught yourself.
I caught myself. But yeah, poor Cam. Even Belichick came out and said it was not due to whether or not he is vaccinated or fully vaccinated, but
I know exactly why it was. It was because of his fucking outfit he was wearing, probably. Belichick's like, get the fuck out of here, man.
Well, Bill probably told him to cut his hair in the offseason. They did.
Well, obviously, Belichick can't come out and say that vaccination had any factor into him getting cut, but I believe it had something to do with it. Look what happened. Was that 2 weeks ago, where he's not vaccinated and he broke protocol accidentally, flying to some sort of treatment or whatever. And he had to stay away from the team for 5 days. And that opened the door for Mac Jones to get extra first team reps, play more. And he's vaccinated. He's not a risk at potentially, well, you can still get it, but he's less likely to get COVID during the season. And he's less of a risk in that way. But at the same time, if you watched any preseason, Mac Jones had a really, really solid preseason. He looked good in every game. I think he outplayed Cam Newton. Definitely is not the quarterback that was in Carolina all those years ago. He's pretty beat up. He's had a few major injuries in his career. I'm not surprised. We talked about this a few weeks ago, Dan, and as you being a Patriot fan, I think I was asking you, who would you rather have start, Cam Newton or Mac Jones? And after these cuts, what do you think now? What are you happy with the decision?
Well, after seeing what he did last year, I mean, they should have started that Stidman, their other high draft pick last year, but they didn't. But I love it. Mac Jones, they drafted up to get him. He's definitely the quarterback of the future. Cut your losses. What's the point of playing a few weeks, 3-4 weeks with, what Cam's going to do? He can't throw the ball more than 100 yards. So he's going to tuck it and run. No, I like it. Let's see what the kid has. It's a tough division. They've gone all these years winning that division. Buffalo is stacked. They're probably going to be, up in the competing for the AFC championship, I think.
Dolphins, buddy. The Dolphins.
Miami, solid team. Made some big pickups. So let's see what Mac Jones can do. And a lot of COVID opt-outs last year from the Patriots. A lot of key players, offensive line, defensive line. Look at the signings they did in the offseason. Led the league with spending money. Let's not waste time. I love it. Mac Jones. I've got that. He's got 4 weeks. Week 4, Tom Brady and the Bucks are back in Gillette Stadium. You got 4 weeks, Mac Daddy. Let's see what you can do before Tom comes back into town.
Hey Dan, who are you going to cheer for in that game?
Ooh, that's gonna be a tough one. You all know I'm a Tom Brady fan.
Oh boy.
I am a Patriots. I still love the Patriots. I still think they're going to be an exciting team, especially now with
But you're not going to cheer for your team.
But I'll let you know, Ty. We'll see who's winning.
Oh God. So do you think that Cam Newton's done, or do you think that he's going to find a home?
Well, there's already talks already, like just started today, about 6 teams that are probably, looking right now. You got Dak in Dallas already. Never mind his, ankle injury last year. He already has a shoulder ailment. He didn't play all preseason. So insurance in Dallas, probably worth it.
Russell Wilson, does he got an injury?
Houston. What the hell is Houston doing? They've already basically said their intention is to trade Deshaun Watson, but they plan on making him a healthy scratch every single week until he gets traded. So you got Tyrod Taylor. Houston, by all means, is a high school team. They don't have, like, apart from Brandon Cooks, they, like, who really do they have?
Even Brandon Cooks, man, he's
even then, yeah, he's like,
he's
probably
not
a
the same
third
Brandon
string
Cooks.
at best on most.
He's
teams.
one big hit again from retiring, unfortunately.
For sure.
But yeah, no, I think Cam will land somewhere probably as a backup. I mean, like Dan said, you never know. He could end up in Houston or somewhere like that as a starter, or wait it out and see if any injuries happen and then go somewhere. But yeah, no, all this football talk, man, it's got me ready for fantasy. We got our big draft tomorrow night. So I'll just put you guys on the spot here real quick. Who would you take with the number 1 pick in your fantasy draft? And it should be an obvious answer, but I think Mike might have a different answer here.
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm not taking, and that's McCaffrey. After he shit the bed for me last year, what a freaking dud, man! Oh, I would be taking, if I had the first pick this year, it'd probably be like Cook, maybe Kamara,
yep,
someone like that. It would be probably one of those two. There's a couple other little big studs out there. Number 1 pick's a tough one, right? I almost rather be mid freaking pile.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Dan, what about you?
Well, either one of those guys, honestly, are going 1, 2, 3 in whatever order in every single draft. But for me, I think personally, I would probably go with Kamara.
Yeah, no, good pick. And you definitely got to factor in the teams they're on, right? And their offense and their quarterback. Even going with McCaffrey, I mean, they have who is their quarterback right now?
Sam Darnold.
I don't know.
Darnold.
Jets.
Sam Darnold.
God.
So,
but having said that, he's got a lot of weapons that he did not.
He does. He does.
Hey, after watching the last Seahawks
thing.
preseason game, I was thinking I might take the Seahawks D first overall if I get the fucking pick.
You might want to wait on them a little
that
bit.
is
Mike.
why
I think
you're
you
in
might
the
be able
Pizza
to.
Bowl every year.
I think you might be able to get them a little later, buddy.
I'm gonna be launching the Seahawks attacks against you guys.
I think the risk with McCaffrey too is, as we saw last year, he's injury prone now and he's a workhorse. Like, they don't take the guy off the field when he's healthy, which is a great thing for fantasy when he stays healthy. But it's also another factor that he could get hurt real quick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we have our draft tomorrow night, and we will be sure to update you guys on our report cards, which Daniel looks forward to. The report card.
I stay up till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning waiting for that report
waiting
card.
to see his grade. And you know what? We're gonna read our grades and the little analysis next week, and it'll be good. So we're looking forward to that. And yeah.
So Ty, we went this weekend on Sunday. We went to Wings on Kingsway. For any of you that haven't been to Wings, definitely a good spot to check out. I think they have like 50% off Wings on Sunday. But what a BMW championship. What was it? I think it came down to a playoff. It was the final round of the FedEx Cup. And right into the playoffs. Is that a fact check, Ty? You're looking at me. I said something wrong. Not FedEx Cup.
It's not the final round of the FedEx Cup.
Well, no, not the final. Well, like the final
round of the BMW
championship. Okay.
This coming week is the finals, but just to clarify, go ahead.
Yes, just to clarify. Okay. So, all I gotta say is that was an exciting. It went down to a playoff. DeChambeau versus Cantlay. Like, I think it went like 6 rounds of sudden death. Every hole, 18, back to 18, back to 18. Then you go to 10th, back to 17, back to 18. Honestly, that was like almost probably the next exciting after Phil's big title win about a couple of months ago. But Ty, what do you think of that? I know you feel some type of way of DeChambeau. You were really wanting him to lose, and at times we thought that he was going to get it. I think we must have closed like 2-3 bills, started another 2-3 bills.
I was just gonna say that, yeah.
With the waitress kept on going back and forth. No, it's going into another playoff hole.
How long did that playoff take?
They almost played another 9 holes with playoffs.
It was like an hour and a half, probably.
It was like an hour and a half, 2 hours after they were done.
Crazy. I can't believe it. I didn't get to see it. I can't believe it.
Oh man, it was unreal. So closing out the round, DeChambeau looked like he was gonna easily win it. On 17, he had a 1-shot lead and he hit a tee shot, just put it safely on the green, that tough little par 3 water right. Cantlay hits his shot. It comes up short, kicks right off the hill into the water. Like, you're thinking game over, right? So actually, no, sorry. DeChambeau, he was safe, but he was just short of the green. So he tries to hit a chip, a nice flop shot chip, something that we would attempt. And he did something that we would do. He got right underneath it, chunked it to about, I don't know,
3 feet.
Not even 3 feet.
Yeah.
Anyways, Cantlay pretty much got up and down. He salvaged a bogey after his drop, and it was a long putt too. And they both ended up bogeying because of Bryson's flop mess up there. So then you go to 18, same thing. They both hit the fairways, both hit the greens. Bryson was actually inside of Cantlay, so Cantlay had to putt first. He had probably, 30-footer, drains it for birdie. DeChambeau misses his shorter par putt, and then we're off to the playoff. And then the playoff, like Dan said, oh man, we had to get 2 different bills. It looked like it was going to end, honestly, at three different holes, I think.
Yeah.
What was it? The 4th playoff hole, DeChambeau put one in the creek on 18.
Yeah.
And Cantlay played it safe. He had a short drive, but it seemed like he had to hit the green and 2-putt for the win. Well, DeChambeau drops, hits his, for him, it was probably a 6-7 iron, 220 to about 4 feet, and pars 18.
Jesus.
It was absolutely incredible. Hopefully you guys watched it because it was a lot of fun. It was the best playoff that I can remember. And it was just back and forth. And then ultimately DeChambeau had a few good looks. Like Dan was saying, I really didn't want him to win. And he actually had a putt. So on the Saturday, he had I think it was about a 6-footer, maybe an 8-footer for a 59, which is golf's
insane.
Golf's
that was
golden
Friday.
number.
That was the only day I actually watched.
Was that round 2? It was round 2 then.
It was Friday's round when
Okay,
he was going to shoot a 59, then you jinxed him.
Yeah,
you're
I wanted
he's about to putt here. Yeah, he's about here for a 59,
and it worked.
Yeah.
But anyways, he had that same putt to win on one of the playoff holes too. Like he couldn't.
Yeah,
he couldn't.
That exact same distance, same hole, same putt, and he got the yips.
Cantlay drained them, and his putting was unreal. And then obviously the last playoff hole, he sunk a long putt, and Bryson missed. And I was happy, and we had to get our bill for the 3rd time. Drank a lot more beer that afternoon than we planned on it. But no,
Cantlay, that's pretty crazy. This is his 3rd win on tour this year. Is that
quietly
correct?
Too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Under the radar. He now has the most wins on tour this year at 3. There's a bunch that were tied with 2 wins apiece. But it sets him up really well for this week going into East Lake in Atlanta for the Tour Championship. And he has it's weird how they stagger the scores for the FedEx, because he's number 1 right now in the FedEx Cup. So he starts at 10 under. I think Rom's at 8 under. Finau. Anyways, it just goes down in a staggered scoring system. But what a purse this weekend. The winner of the FedEx Cup wins $15 million. Insane.
Damn.
Just for that one tournament.
Just for the FedEx, not even the tournament, just the FedEx Cup, the overall.
You don't have to win the
season.
tournament to win the FedEx Cup.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But
crazy.
Absolutely insane. And so last place this weekend still walks away with 250 grand. Last place at this tournament.
It's not a bad day, hey?
Right? And there's only 30 people.
Pretty good weekend.
Yeah. And there's no cut. So you can go there regardless, have, play a nice fun 4 rounds of golf, no pressure. You're still walking away with 250 grand.
Jesus. Some dude's getting paid.
Well, I'm sure we're going to get into our picks next week for, this championship, but just right away, 2 seconds, Mike, who's your pick?
Cantlay.
Okay. Ty?
I'm going with
Rombo.
and it's this weekend. Yeah, it starts.
And I'm going to take,
Thursday.
we'll obviously do our picks again next week, but I think DJ, he was lighting it up towards the end. You know, he was a little bit too far back, before he started hitting the Jets, but he started coming back on the final round on Sunday. So I would pick DJ. But
Well, you know what?
Weekend.
Well, it is this weekend. But I thought
we
he was
don't have
talking
next
about.
week.
I thought he was talking about our picks next weekend. But
Oh yeah, next week we'll be talking. So we got to give
we'll talk
Govik.
about it.
Who's the favorite? Spieth. Okay, go with Spieth.
no,
Okay.
Cantlay's a favorite.
So is this, let's
He's starting
punch it
at
in
10
then.
under par.
Let's punch it in then.
Govik always takes Spieth. We'll give Govik Spieth
Okay.
for a shot. We haven't done a shot on air in a while, so
No, he always
Perfect.
takes a favorite. I got to give him Cantlay. Fuck.
okay, then pick again real quick.
I'll take Spieth.
Well, I think I'm gonna die. Where do you
Just so
No,
there's
it's
some
done.
controversy
It's
if I do
locked
it.
in
Oh.
here. It's locked.
So I'm a DJ. Okay.
Yeah. And then
Okay,
we'll
locked in.
go over these next week. But yeah, hope everyone enjoys the last weekend of this PGA Tour season.
They slayed the dragon! It's a wonderful day for an exorcism. Mario Mandzukic pounced, and England are hurt. Touchdown Seahawks!
It is time. What do you guys think? You think Dana White's gonna copyright that?
I think Govik's gonna be pissed when he hears how good you are, man. Wow.
It is time, boys.
You found a new segment.
We had a big fight this weekend. Well, a lot of hype. I wouldn't say big fight, but MMA crossing into the boxing ring. The Paul brothers been calling out a lot of UFC fighters, been calling out Dana White. Jake Paul fought Tyron Woodley this past weekend on Sunday, pay-per-view. Ty, we watched it. Undercard, I mean, who really cares about any of those other fights? No one probably even knows half the people. I definitely didn't know half the people. I didn't even know there was women that boxed. But anyways, Woodley, I don't know. Ty, we watched it. It came down to a split decision, gave it to Jake Paul. This wasn't, a simple. Jake Paul is, I think, knocking out guys last 3 fights in the first 2 rounds. So this went the distance, went 8 rounds. What are your thoughts?
I think the fix is in, man. That's the only explanation for that embarrassment of a fight that I spent fucking $60 on. What a joke.
I know. I remember, especially when I bought it, I said I was with my brother-in-law. I'm like, I can't believe I'm actually paying for this shit right now, but I did.
I know, and you know what? That's what they're all about. They're getting almost like hate buys. Like we are tuning in because we want to see him get knocked the fuck out. Jake Paul.
I was tuning in because I wanted to see if Jake Paul was going to knock out Tyron Woodley.
Oh no, I knew that was going to happen. I was tuning in hoping that Woodley would finally shut him up. But
I didn't think that was going to happen because like you said, the hype and it wouldn't go with the storyline.
I think it was going to happen. I wanted it to happen, and I don't know. For me, that's what I keep hoping. It's like, okay, well, I guess you can kind of say he's been stepping up his going up and up in his competition, stepping up a little bit. He went from a basketball player with no boxing experience to a wrestler, mixed martial artist in Ben Askren. He went up to a has-been UFC champion who I think he'd lost his last 3 fights actually prior to that fight. He is not necessarily known for his striking. He has had some great knockouts and he's got some power in those hands, but he is also a wrestler. And yeah, I was not impressed with, I don't even know what to take that fight with. Like, Do you think the fix is in, Mike? That's the only explanation for me. Woodley had him rocked once against the ropes.
Yeah, first of all, I think I had Woodley actually winning the fight. I was disagreeing with the commentators the whole time, where they're saying like Paul's ahead and Woodley needs to knock him out. I'm like, I don't think so, but I might be used to MMA refereeing judging, because Woodley was pushing the pace. He had to control the center of the octagon. He was chasing down Jake Paul the entire time. He was he did more damage to Jake Paul. He after the fight, Woodley didn't even look like he was in a fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But like you said, I think for you,
there's a lot of holes in Paul's game for sure.
100%. He was just throwing empty punches off his back foot.
Very gassed in like round 4.
Because he hadn't been past round. Hadn't been that far to fight. And like you said, though, in terms of in boxing, they don't take, you even said octagon control. They don't take ring control into it. It's
all strikes,
punches,
thrown and
landed, body shots, power shots.
Yeah, there was a couple of things like that I didn't really realize either going into this, because I honestly didn't spend too much time looking at the hype. But one was the size difference between Jake Paul and Woodley. I mean, I think Paul is an extra 3 feet taller than him. And then it's like me and Ty standing side by side. And then
you're shrinking, man. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm catching you.
And I didn't even see what the weigh-ins were, but he must weigh a lot more than Woodley too. Like he's got to have 20 pounds on him, I would think.
Yeah, but I mean,
easily.
But yeah, in terms of the fight, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna pay for another one of those stupid things. I might watch, but I'm probably gonna go somewhere and watch it.
I wouldn't because they were talking about running it back. I wouldn't pay to see it again. Not these two fighters. I mean, I might, like I think we talked about before, I might pay to see GSP in there because I'd be supporting him, or someone like that caliber. I heard, that some of these MMA guys, maybe old MMA guys, are going to be doing sort of what this Jake Paul's doing and have a boxing match. You know what I mean?
That seems like the money is there. They're getting paid. So for this fight, what I read is Woodley and Jake Paul, before like the pay-per-view shares and whatever their sponsors and all that, they already got $2 million each for that fight, which is pretty crazy for Tyron Woodley, because I looked up, I think the most he got paid in a UFC title fight, like when he was a champ, was like $650,000, which I'm not saying that's a bad payday, but when you compare the two, like he just went in there, like you said, took no damage. Don't know whether his heart was in it, like we kind of said before the fight when we were worried about betting on it. If he's just in there for the payday, go in there. At least he lasted the whole fight, but he was never in trouble. Mm-hmm. He just cruised through that whole fight. He didn't throw enough. I think if he pressured him at any point in that fight and really went for it, especially in those later rounds, Jake Paul wouldn't have an answer, and it would have been over. But that's not the storyline they're trying to sell. And that's probably that was probably something in his contract, an unwritten thing in his contract.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like a gentleman's agreement or something.
Don't knock him out and you're going to get your $2 million. And,
But, so there was a couple things I took from this fight. One, I was actually surprised that Jake Paul did so well, that he lasted the 8 rounds. And I'm gonna give it to him and say that I'd say he's a professional boxer now. You could classify him that. I mean, he's fought, like you said, a basketball player. I wouldn't give him any credit for that. Then he came out and he fought when he fought Ben Askren. You got to give him kind of a nod there, but you could tell Askren was really in it. But Tyron Woodley, he's a true champion, and he's a fighter, and he brought it. I thought he was not easing up on him.
He is, and you think someone with that character and integrity, from what we know, like you said, he's a former champion, he wouldn't go in there and take a dive. We hope that.
But I was also going to say this. I watched the whole undercard as well, and if Jake Paul fought a boxer, any of those guys, he's not gonna. Yeah.
Oh, no.
So it's the hype. He's fighting the name. So Woodley's got the big UFC champion, and he was a wrestler. I don't see him doing that to any of those guys in the undercard or girls.
Now, do you think there could ever be a Jake Paul Conor McGregor fight, even though there's a huge size difference? Do you see that happening?
I think Conor McGregor will win it too. I think.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you look at, I saw a thing today online. They were talking about if the only thing that you take from the Jake Paul Tyron Woodley fight is how good Conor McGregor did against Floyd Mayweather. That
Mm.
was not an exhibition bout. That was a regular bout. And to last that long and put up a fight, he was arguably winning that fight in terms of points up until he got TKO'd there. But yeah, I think you could see it. I don't think we're going to see it, but you could.
I don't know. All I got to say is for someone like Woodley, who has the background in MMA, in wrestling, in striking, I mean, boxing, you're literally, it's just gloves. You're not worrying about the takedowns. You're not worrying about the submissions. You're not worrying about, the kicks. I mean, all you're worrying is about the hands. So Woodley, with his background, with his experience, should have completely destroyed Jake Paul. And there was moments where he would get some shots in and then he'd back up. That mentality of MMA where you're going to have to defend the takedown. You're going to have to defend a kick or whatnot. But it's almost like it's the complete opposite, where I think everything is going for Woodley, and he should have been more aggressive. He should have knocked out. There was one, I think, decent shot where he really got Jake Paul. He fell into the ropes, nearly fell through the ropes.
Those ropes weren't there. If that was,
Exactly. And I think that's what Woodley's argument was at the end when they had their whole interview in the middle of the ring. They had a tattoo bet, Mike. I don't know if you heard that. If Woodley lost, he would have to get a tattoo that says "I love Jake Paul."
Yeah, and they had the tattoo artist there at the arena. Did they do it? Go.
I haven't seen they've done it, but that was their little after the fight, their little they had the interviews there. He said he'd fight him in a rematch if Woodley went and got tattooed right there. And like you said, the tattoo artist was there. I didn't see or hear the follow up on that. I don't think he did it because I would have seen it online and there would have been stories about it.
Mm-hmm.
Shit, would you do that for $2 million?
Probably.
I would get your face tattooed on my ass for $2 million.
You can get it removed, right? You can get it removed, right?
Yeah.
Eventually.
I would get on one cheek ties the best golfer in amateur golf, and on the other cheek, Mike is the best at fantasy. Boom, boom, 2 million. Pay daddy.
But yeah, Dan, for all those reasons that you just laid out is all the reason for me to believe that the fix is in. I don't know. It's all catered to keeping. They obviously selling, like, they're getting me to buy this shit. They're selling fights.
For sure.
But I
do have a feeling though that sorry to cut you off. I think that the MMA guys are going to get paid now. I think it's going to get paid real quick
from the UFC, or they're going to jump ship and start boxing other former.
From the UFC. I think what might happen is you might see like a McGregor Poirier boxing match, and then be like, "What the hell? They're making that'd be a huge boxing match, right?" That would sell, I would think.
Yeah, but don't see that. I don't know if like that people want to see them fight in MMA. They want to see them just smash each other. Boxing is a totally different sport, obviously. But I think people would want to see.
I think we'll see them get paid. I think boxing's dead, man. I don't see how it's more exciting than MMA.
I don't think it's more exciting, but there seems like there's a lot of energy behind it.
Yeah, I think it's because it's just the years of hype following it. Where I said MMA is still relatively a new sport, right?
But I think you could start to see, which we have seen, like Anderson Silva was in a professional boxing fight. Like you said, you'll start to see these older MMA fighters leave the UFC for when their contract's up and try to get a bigger payday in a boxing fight.
They're all calling out Vitor Belfort's calling out Logan Paul, and we had
because they're like Tyron Woodley's getting $2 million to go in there and not take any damage. Like they're fighting the UFC, getting their face smashed in by all sorts of different knees, elbows. Fists, obviously, for $200,000-$300,000, some of them. So they're seeing these like boxers going, like, I can go fight and get $2 million for 8 short rounds.
Yeah, big
sign me up.
Cushiony gloves.
Where do I sign?
Yeah,
and if you look at even like the time they're fighting, like an MMA title fight is 25 minutes, 5-minute rounds. They fought 8 rounds, 3 minutes. I mean,
well, if they actually get into the pro, like there's different, like it's 12 rounds and a lot.
That, but it is pretty crazy and amazing the following these guys have, though. Like to have their number 1 and number 2 pay-per-views all year. There's been some big fights this year, and it's Logan Paul #1 against Mayweather, and then it's Jake Paul versus Woodley #2. What the hell?
Marketing, brand, baby. That's what Dana White said.
I know, and I wonder,
a brand for themselves. They're YouTube sensations. There's a lot of people that probably don't know diddly squat about boxing or MMA, but they know who Logan Paul is, a YouTube guy. And have you seen his girlfriend? I'd start following what he does
Jake
just
Paul?
to see her.
You're talking about Jake, but what did Jake Paul do on YouTube? I don't even know. You guys know?
He was like a Kimbo Slice,
No,
boxing
he didn't
on
do
YouTube.
any. No,
he was like a rich kid, wasn't he? He had like
he would just wake up and like
Lamborghinis
document
and
his
stuff.
life. He'd like wake up and like, hey, and do some whatever stupid shit. He didn't do any fights, Dan. This is his first time boxing at all. That's why
it sounded like to me after the fight interview that he sort of wanted to step away from boxing and do something else.
That's what he was saying at the end, that
even Logan Paul said that he's got something going on right now that
he retired
not
on
related.
He retired on Twitter.
Did he?
Jake Paul. And then the next day he was like, "Oh, I'm just kidding," kind of thing, and he's back. He was trying to do like a McGregor type thing or whatever, but yeah, I think we spent too much time on this, and this is what they do, though.
There you go. Look at that.
They got us talk, but see, like I was saying, I was watching because I wanted to see him get knocked out, and I wanted it to be the end. But that's not the angle they're going for. But we do have some big UFCs coming up. There's actually a long break from pay-per-views. There's not another pay-per-view until
I think
later
end of
this month.
September.
Yeah, end of this month.
Yeah, end of this month. Oh yeah, we're already September.
Yeah. So we'll have some good stuff to get into there. There's a bunch of title fights coming up, some big cards announced. Looking forward to that.
Diaz is fighting Mike.
209, bitch.
Yeah,
the sensei's fighting.
Looking forward to that, so we can get out of this boxing talk for a bit. But yeah, I was really disappointed to see Woodley lose that fight. But
did you see, just one last thing about that boxing night? The odds of all the undercards, like minus 25,000, like whatever, 100, whatever it was. Like, holy man.
There was no close fights on that undercard.
No. So they need some more competition. Boxing needs competition because that's
clearly
crazy.
by that card anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Dirty Talk with Dan Nandez. This is Dan Nandez on the West Coast Sports Junkies podcast. I know it's been a few weeks since we've been getting down and dirty, but there is nothing more dirtier than setting a fantasy football lineup and your team throwing up a bunch of caca. So we are going to be introducing a new part of the Dirty Talk on a weekly breakdown of the do's and do nots of fantasy football. Who not to start, who not to pick up. Don't waste your wire picks. Who's the hot team? Who to drop? And my favorite, do not touch these players. So I know, Mike, I know you've got a few players that have really burnt you over the years in fantasy. I have definitely got a few players that have burnt me. So from the top, we're going to start. Ben Roethlisberger. Oh my God. He's cost me nothing but titles, nothing but wins. Him and Juju. Juju can ride his bicycle all around the stadium. I ain't touching him. Julio Jones. Julio. Oh my God. Ty, you know how bad. I know you've had Julio. He actually won me a title one year, and I thought, you know what? This guy's my guy. I'm picking this guy up every single fantasy season. He's going to be my high pick. And ever since he won me the title, he's done nothing but get injured. Pulled his hamstring, is always hurt. Oh, he's dead to me. I hope he has fun in Tennessee. Better learn how to line dance because that's all he's going to be doing on the sidelines. Who else? A couple of teams. It doesn't matter who's on the team. Do not touch them. The Detroit Lions, do not touch them. New York Giants, if you want to try Saquon Barkley, I know he's coming back. Apart from him, Giants are shit. Do not touch them. Jacksonville, they got a lot of young guns. Obviously, the number one pick at quarterback. They got Robinson. He was a good running back last year. Other than that, I wouldn't touch anyone from Jacksonville. Mike, I know you love the Seahawks, and I know you like to your picks are always the Seahawks Legion of Boom, but the Legion of Doom is with those running backs. Chris Carson, they say he's going to be, running the ball. They're going to try to keep, Russell from, keeping that ball and taking hits. I don't know. Carson's been hit before. He's been injured. I really just cannot wait for fantasy to start. This is just a little bit. It'll get a lot more heated. Let me tell you, if I lose a week because of some player that I picked off from the Seahawks, Lockett, dead to me. Bye, 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 bye. That's it, ladies and gentlemen, for the first fantasy breakdown. Good luck with your drafts. I hope you draft well. As the old saying goes, it doesn't matter how you start, it's how you finish. Get those trades, hit that wire, and as always, stay dirty.
Oh boy, we have some good stuff there. That's Dirty Dan's do not draft list. I like that.
Yeah, a couple of those players, man. I'll take a couple of those players.
Well, obviously they're Seahawks, so you'll definitely take them.
I'll take Carson.
Like you said, Dan,
ball, man.
I agree with a few of those. I actually think Carson this year, it's a good value pick. I mean, obviously he's got to stay healthy, but he is the guy there. The Seahawks running back situation, outside of him, I was actually surprised that Penny made the team. I'm not a huge fan of him. He hasn't been durable. I really liked how Alex Collins looked. We didn't talk about that earlier. But for fantasy purposes, the only running back you want in Seattle is Chris Carson. One thing I find,
I don't know. I always like to pick up the backs because they're running their backups because he goes down quite a bit.
Yeah, you just hope you got a waiver wire pickup high priority when that happens.
Yeah, for sure.
One thing I find about fantasy is a lot of times I don't like picking my team to be on my fantasy team because it's too stressful. You're too stressed out about your team winning in itself, and then you got to worry about, say, Russell Wilson, getting you that last touchdown to win your weekly matchup. Like, no, not doing it anymore. Last year, I broke my rule and I went with DK, and it paid off because he was a monster last year in fantasy. Helped me win the title last year. But Mike, how do you feel? I know you don't care and you love launching all-out Seahawk attacks on your opponents.
Fucking right. It's an all-out Seahawks blitz against my fucking opponents all the time. I don't mind it. I don't care. I'm for the win first. It's all about Seahawks winning the game. I don't give a shit about my fantasy. If Russell Wilson's on my team and he needs to run the ball 10 yards for me to win my fantasy match, I don't worry about that until Tuesday morning after I've lost the fantasy thing. I do not give a shit. As long as Seahawks get the W, I don't care.
Well, Mike, I'm glad you think that.
Away from them.
Well, Taya, I'm glad you think like that. Keep donating to our fantasy. Keep hosting the Pizza Bowl.
The best is there's nothing better than me launching a full-out Seahawks blitz on all your asses and winning. It's only happened once. I had the Seahawks D and everything. I think beat Trav once or something.
I was gonna say it was Trav, which made it even better.
It was the best.
Oh man, but yeah, I've had a few players on my dead to me do not draft list, but like Kamara, he redeemed himself a little bit. We've had some
Kamara's on your list. Well, McCaffrey's on my list, so I guess
Kamara cost me a trip to the finals 2 years ago, actually. So, we remember these things in fantasy.
I never even made it to the dance show, or I never made it to the playoffs. I don't think.
You remember those matchups, Mike. When you get there, you'll know what we're talking about, and that's why even those star players are on your do not draft list because you just have that bad memory about them.
All my do not draft players are star players. The number one to me is Peyton Manning. Remember that year?
Oh,
You know, negative points. Peyton Manning. Thank God he's retired. The next one would be Nittle. What the hell is
Kittle?
Kittle. We got to go back to the Peyton Manning.
God.
We got to go over to that Peyton Manning game. So I think it was like week 2 or 3. We were going to the Seahawks home opener. We're driving down. We're going to go to Cowgirls pregame. So Mike was all excited. He's like, you know what, Ty? I really drafted a solid team this year. Like, I got fucking Peyton Manning. Like, you know, I'm set. I'm going to make a run this year. We get to Cowgirls, and like, obviously it's late morning. So I think it was about halftime. Mike, how many points did he have at half?
-6 or something like that, wasn't it? That was ridiculous.
He was -6 with
And that year he wins a fucking Super Bowl.
I know.
Now they took him off, and then whoever the quarterback was, I don't remember, got injured. Yeah, got injured in the playoffs or whatever, and they throw Manning back in the Super Bowl, and they win the fucking Super Bowl. Oh my god.
Oh man,
it's like
the
worst year ever for me.
Yeah, similar to the Bucks last year.
Yeah.
But Ty, I gotta remind you of something. You brought up how nothing worse than picking your own team in fantasy. So like Seahawks, picking up Seahawks.
Yeah.
How about, and I know that you and me are in quite a few fantasy different leagues. We're in like 4 or 5 leagues. There's nothing worse than having, you know, you're cheering for one group of players on one fantasy, and you're praying to God that same team does or same player doesn't beat you in another fantasy.
You have it in your head how it all has to work out.
It's a nightmare.
Right? Yeah.
One league you're cheering for, say Dalvin Cook, because you got him. In the other league, you're playing against Dalvin Cook, and you're hoping to God he doesn't score.
So what you need to do there, it's easy. You just go by the buy-in, because we're in a couple of big buy-in pools. So the biggest buy-in league always takes precedence over the rest. So that's one thing I will say with that. But what is a great feeling when what you just described, you need Dalvin Cook to get 15 points in one, but he can't get like more than 12, and it all works out. That is the best feeling.
That's what we call the trifecta.
Yeah, and Ty has that Ty luck too. He's like, I'll be sitting there watching a game with him, and he's like, I need this receiver to like catch a ball here and get a touchdown, then come back. We need to get a turnover, and he's got to catch another touchdown, and boom, it happens. It's like, oh my god. Can't believe. Or
I have a defense in the other league. I need like a sack for an extra 2 points or something. Yeah.
The worst is when you have, say, you're going into Monday night or a close matchup for the win of the fantasy for that week, and you have the quarterback of one team and then the defense of the other team. So you're pretty much getting points and losing points on every score. Talk about a jammer than that one.
Yeah. Well, the worst is you're going into Monday night and you only need like 2 points and you have like a tight end left.
Oh,
and you don't get the 2 points.
Or the player gets hurt, right?
Yeah.
Right? You don't get the 2. Like, oh man, that's why fantasy football is the best, and it's why it's also the worst. Can ruin your day for sure. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this new segment here, Dan. So we will love to hear your rants after week 1 in a couple weeks here. But
this coming not tomorrow, but we're a week away from the season opener. The defending champions, Tampa Bay Bucks, are playing host to the Dallas Cowboys. So next Thursday, you guys will hear my picks for the week. You'll hear my do not picks, your stardom, the sit-ems, and the pray to gods for week 1. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, that is a wrap for the West Coast Sports Junkies. Glad to have you. If you want to follow us, check us out in all our platforms. We're on YouTube. Posts will be going up soon this week. Follow us and like us, Facebook, Instagram. Check out our website, www.westcoastsportsjunkies.com. And have a great night.